What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr.
Hey. If you are interested in building your brand,
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, my loves. Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some amazing topics for you today. So for those of you who are wondering where Miss Ida is on her own. She's venturing off to start her YouTube channel. So make sure you guys go over and support. And maybe we can bring her back one of these good old days and have her as a guest and a guest commentator on some of the issues and the topics that we bring forward. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out Mark, my producer, so we can get this ball rolling and start talking about some of these different topics that I would like to discuss. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing good. Like I told you earlier today, I was going to watch my team play some basketball. So they are definitely doing well. We were in a 2-game skid, so I needed to have that skid broken, and they broke that skid. So the players actually came to play, and it's good seeing a lot.
You're breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, very, very well.
Yeah, like I said, so they were in a 2-game skid, so I was just glad to have that skid broken, and hopefully they can make some noise in the Big East and maybe in the Big Dance as well. But definitely it was good to get that monkey off the back because we were in the middle of a 2-game skid, and now I just need them to continue with some winning ways and all along those lines. So I was glad to get some good news as I root for my alma mater, and that's also the alma mater of Dwayne Wade, and he was actually over there and gave them some money. So, sometimes those NBA players, after they make the
Your
money,
voice went out again.
they decide
nice.
Yeah.
Your voice is going in and out. I'm not for sure where you are in your house, but it's going in and out. So how was your weekend? I was pretty jacked up this weekend in terms of allergies, nosebleeds, and all of that stuff. Trying to get myself together, missed some meetings. I got to call and apologize to people, let them know that it was, due to the sickness, allergies, I can't control that stuff. So I'm heavily sedated with medicine, nasal spray, eye drops, and, all that good stuff. So I don't know if I sound nasal, but if I do apologize in advance. I do apologize because my allergies has been having me, in a whirlwind. So yeah, that pretty much what was going on with me. So how about you for the weekend?
It was a quiet weekend. Wasn't much going on. There wasn't much happening at the Hayti Center or all along those lines. So it was a very quiet weekend. We did have our one church meet on Sunday, and then of course on the Saturday the youth
you're going in and out, Mark.
That's weird because I'm hearing you and you're breaking up on my side, so I'm not sure what's going on with the computer and everything along those lines. But we'll see. You say I'm coming in and out, and like I said, it's coming clear on my side. So let me check on the YouTube and see how it's sounding there and everything while you are dealing with that and everything. I'll also check it on the YouTube and everything because that way I can hear whether we're coming in clear or not.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and start jumping into the topics. One of the topics that I would like to discuss today is the war on Black women. So I have several topics that we're going to discuss: the war on Black women, Shannon Sharpe, Cat Williams, Jonathan Majors, and we also want to give pay homage to Dr. Martin Luther King. Today is his federal holiday, so we want to take a brief moment of silence for him.
Definitely want to do a brief moment of silence for Dr. King. He was a man of honor, and unfortunately, a lot of what he fought for is still being in the dream state and not in the reality state. But he was definitely an amazing individual, and we definitely need to honor his dream on a regular basis.
So we'll go ahead and take a moment of silence. All right. So with that being said, Dr. Martin Luther King, I know we had a lot of people that was doing, a day of service and a day of remembrance in the works of Dr. King and all the things that he stood for. There was also jokes about Jonathan Majors out there, leading the march, one of the marches that he participated in. And, it was being very sarcastic because I think that they were saying that, he doesn't date Black women, but now he is, back on this side. And you know how I feel about that. He should have stayed where he was. You want to go over there and she did what she did to you. Now you want to hop back over here and date a Black woman? Nah, we don't want you, but apparently she does. But my heart goes out to her because I would have left you where you was with your tail wagging with your legs, head wagging between your tail, and left you over there looking crazy. But anyway, there is this going war. Yes.
I was going to say, speaking of Dr. King, and before we get to that growing war and everything, sometimes we forget the women that were behind Dr. King. And I have a very short video that actually talks about some of those women. It's only about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So
okay, go ahead and roll the video.
Let's roll this video.
I mean, people can say what they want to say about Black women, but we have always, stood the test of time, and we still stand the test of time, and we support our men, but our men don't really support us. Our men don't really want us. They want to go out, and get other women of other races, and I'm fine with that. You know what I'm saying? But, the thing about it is when those other women run over you and run you ragged, then you want to come back to the Black women and Black community so that we can pick up the pieces. And Jonathan Majors is a prime example of, being drugged in the mud by one of those white women and then want to run back to, the Black woman for her to pick up the pieces for him. And, like I said, I would have sent his ass, wagging back with his tail between with his head between his legs or whatever, and I would have left him right where he was, because before the mess and before all of that, when you had your little fame and notoriety, you wasn't even thinking about black women. Black women were an afterthought for you. But then when you get in trouble, you want to run to a sister to pick up the pieces and to pull your broke ass back together, and things like that. Because if I was making good, I would have left his ass right where he was. But black women has always been a staple inside of the community. Even in the Black Lives Matter march, it has always been black women that are out there supporting black men. Even when they don't support us, we still support them. Even during the times of slavery, when they wouldn't feed the black man, the black woman would always take food and risk her own life to make sure that he was nourished and he was fed. And one of the things that I hate about black men is that they're saying that, oh, we're not dainty enough, we're not this, we're not that. No, we're all of that. That's just part of us. But being strong and being who we are and being dominant is also a part of us. You know what I'm saying? So we have multiple layers, which we do, and we can play multiple roles in which we do. And then, the other part that really angers me is the fact that they want to say that Black women are not, it's not the epitome of beautiful, but you want to go out and get a white woman or another woman who go out and pay for the attributes that Black women have: the full lips, the thick hips, the curvy waist, the thin waist with the curves and things like that, or whatever. You talk bad about Black women, but you go out and get these same women who go out and get plastic surgery who wants to look like Black women. We are the blueprint. We start everything. We are the ones that lay the foundation. When they start arguing, what they do, they try to roll their necks, pop their lips, and try to be what? A Black woman. And that's something that they can never be. You can always cosplay us, but you can never be a Black woman. And as I was telling you before the show started, Jonathan Majors told his white girlfriend that she needed to, channel her inner Coretta. Let me tell you something, Jonathan Majors. She can never channel her inner Coretta because, one, she's not Black. So she can never understand the Black experience of a Black woman. And she can never channel a Black woman because guess what? She's not a Black woman. So, for you to sit there and tell a white woman to channel her inner Coretta, that's just a slap in the face to all of us Black women. Go ahead, Mark, before I go on to the next topic.
No, that's a very powerful topic and everything along those lines. One thing that I was going to say is that as one who has strong African-American women in my family, and definitely I'm very proud of that. My mother was a business leader in the nonprofit world, as was her mother-in-law, my grandmother on my dad's side, who actually created the first African-American library in Raleigh, North Carolina, and which is our state capital, and all along those lines. So I definitely can relate to this idea. And I think that I have a great deal of respect for strong women leaders, and including some of the women leaders in some of the nonprofits that I work for. So I don't get it when people are critical and thinking that Black women are not tough and are not deserving even of some leadership positions and all along those lines, because like I said, that is something that I have always grown and seen. My aunt was, who is still living, was a part of the Duke Medical Library, and another aunt who has passed on was very much a principal leader, an education leader, ironically not that far from you, because she was a principal, I believe, when she was in Richmond, Virginia, and I know that she was definitely a principal when she was in Sparta, New Jersey, and definitely was an educational leader before MS took her away from this world and all along those lines. So like I said, that's just some examples of strong leadership that I have seen. Even my current boss at the Hayti Heritage Center, who has the same last name, even though we're not related, her dad was actually the first Black mayor of Chapel Hill, and all in that space, was definitely a strong leader, and I am glad to be under her tutelage and all in that space. So definitely I have seen strong leaders in among the sisters, and of course there are some strong leaders even on this network, yourself being one, Maxine being another, and others as well. So I have no problem with strong leadership from the sisters, and have a great deal of respect for
so whitewashed
in that leadership space and all in that way.
I said I look so whitewashed.
But yeah, I have a great deal of respect.
I'm trying to get my color together on here, because the light that was shining in my face, it had me looking, like extremely pale, whitewashed, and I don't want to look like that. I want to look like the sister that I am, because if I ever died and became reincarnated, I would definitely want to come back as a Black woman, as a sister. Nothing else could appease me more. So one of the topics that has been floating around for a long time is this war on Black women. And I don't think that people understand how severe of a topic this is, and how severe of an action this is, this war on Black women. We have a person, Edward Bloom, who is actually taking a case to the Supreme Court that says that Black women are discriminating against other women because we're putting out venture capitalists to support Black women. And in the statement of the venture capitalists, it says that it is there to support and help Black women and give them grants to support their businesses along with mentorship. So he's saying that it's racist because white women are excluded and Asians are excluded. But aren't let's just get down into it, because he's the same man that basically brought the case against affirmative action to the Supreme Court and was instrumental in help getting affirmative action overruled. So, we have to understand that these people are out to get us. And for the life of me, I don't understand why, Black people align with Republicans because, you know, they lie through their teeth one way or the other and say that there's unity, say that they want diversity and say that they want this. But then when it comes down to the numbers and when it comes down to everything else, it's a bold-faced lie. Even with the women will sit there and lie and say that they're going to support. But when it comes to, you know, the numbers in the ballot box, they vote against their own best interest, and they also vote against Black women's best interest. So, you know, when it comes to us supporting them, they want us to support, but they don't support us. And people got to understand that this is something serious. You know, these are venture capitalists that are out there trying to help Black women become competitors in the field of, you know, different types of businesses, competitors in just the business market in general. But they are saying that, you know, we can't help each other. It's racist for us to help each other. But wasn't they doing that the whole time? Isn't that what the legacy movement is when their children graduate from Harvard and all these other Ivy League schools, that their legacy get to go to the schools? But you want to say that affirmative action was the problem, but your incompetent in intellectual children can get in without, you know, any merit because you graduated from there and you was allowed the same, you know, you was afforded the same admissions that they're being afforded, although you didn't prove your worth.
Yeah.
I mean, because even one of the justices, I mean, if you really want to look at it, even one of the justices, Mark, Clarence Thomas, he was a recipient of affirmative action, and he despises it.
Yeah, he definitely despises it. But one of the things that's,
although he benefited from it, he despises it.
Yeah. One of the things that's interesting about that and everything is that not only does he despise it, but I just looked at who the capital fund that this gentleman is arguing against is connected with, and is actually one of the Cosby kids. So it's actually Keisha Knight Pulliam, and if I remember correctly, she is one of the Cosby kids. So she's actually the one that helped create this capital fund that is supporting people that are like her, that were involved in trying to break out of certain neighborhoods and all along those lines. And if you're more interested, I do have a little bit of the video, and we can check out what Mr. Edward Bloom was saying and some of the reaction to that. We don't have to play the whole 8 minutes, but if you like, we can bring some of that onto light so that people can watch what we're talking about.
Yes, play it.
We'll play it right now.
Well, Edward Blum is at it again. Now, off the heels of his case that he filed with students for fair admissions, get rid of affirmative action at the college admissions level, he is now attacking an Atlanta-based venture capital fund that supports Black women with small businesses. Yes, he's coming after Black women. This has nothing to do with college. This has nothing to do with Asians, or what we think it has nothing to do with Asians. So Edward Bloom and his nonprofit American Alliance for Equal Rights filed a federal lawsuit stating that Fearless Fund Management violates the Civil Rights Act of 1866 by making Black women only eligible for $20,000 grants. So Black people create a fund for Black women to get grants for their businesses, and he's attacking it. Now, the Blum-founded group Students for Fair Admissions brought the lawsuit, as we said earlier, with the Supreme Court. And he said this fund, was started actually by the Cosby Show actress Keisha Knight Pulliam. She's an entrepreneur. And Ariane Simone and executive Ayanna Parsons back in 2019. Now they say defendants, Fearless Fund Management LLC, Fearless Fund 2 GP LLC, Fearless Fund 2 LP, and Fearless Foundation Incorporated, collectively Fearless Fund. Are operating a racially discriminatory program that blatantly violates Section 1981. It's a guarantee of race neutrality, states the lawsuit. The Fearless Strivers Grant Contest awards $20,000 grants to winning applicants under the program's terms. The submission of an entry forms a contract between the Fearless Fund and the applicant. They say eligibility for the program depends on the applicant's race. They say the eligibility requirement listed in the program's official rules, it is only open to Black females. They say the Fearless Fund has numerous investors, including Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Costco, General Mills, and MasterCard. They say according to what's being reported, Blum plans to file more federal lawsuits to challenge race-based policies implemented by corporations and claimed 60 white or Asian members of his group, American Alliance for Equal Rights, were excluded from the fund due to race. Oh, you dirty bastard. So what he decided to do was to get whites and Asians to apply for the fund, and they say, well, no, this fund's for black women. And then he go files a lawsuit. Boy, this is a dirty devil. Oh, he dirty, isn't he? Now, I say the common theme is these organizations say the challenge in the courts, the use of racial classifications and preferences in our nation's policies. This is what he said, right? So they say the 71-year-old told the New York Times that he celebrated the decision, it says, the Supreme Court by drinking wine and taking an Ambien and going to bed. See, you're a devil. You're combining wine and Ambien? Seriously? So you can't sleep because you're a devil. That's what happens. Why you need to drink wine and take an Ambien? Well, you're not living right, you ain't sleeping right. They say racial classification, it says a zero-sum game, that there are better ways to achieve individualized student diversity than treating students differently by race and ethnicity. As he also noted, it said that he does not believe that systemic racism exists in the United States. Of course he doesn't believe that. We know he don't believe that. I mean, why would he?
Speaking of not believing that and everything, did you hear recently that a puppet, and I did say a puppet, of Mr. Trump also said that systematic racism does not exist, that being one Ben Carson, because he definitely did that as he was stumping for the Iowa caucus for Mr. Trump. He definitely said that he did not think.
Well, I mean, he doesn't surprise me. He's another one that, he doesn't surprise me. He's another one that benefited from, social programs and things like that or whatever, because his mom worked, but she also was a welfare recipient at some point in time. And his mom wasn't, in a position where, she could just, pay for everything out of pocket for him or whatever. But he's another one like Clarence Thomas. So that doesn't surprise me that he's saying that systemic racism does not exist, although he was one of the ones that actually benefited from, the social programs that they're trying to do away with. Like that. So quite naturally, he would say that systemic racism does not exist. And, he's on Trump's payroll. So he's going to say whatever he needs him to say. Like we're just illiterate and we're just going to follow what Ben Carson has to say. Ben Carson, you're another one who's a puppet or whatever, a step and fetch or whatever you want to call them. You're another one. So, your words means nothing over here. It means nothing in the Black community. It means nothing in, communities of color and things like that or whatever. So we're definitely not surprised that you would say that systemic racism does not exist because you have been paid, you're a paid puppeteer. So, your words mean absolutely nothing. But this is just some of the bullshit, the bullshit that we as Black women go through on a day-to-day basis. And when we express our concern, express our frustration, we're looked at as the angry Black woman. Like we're not supposed to have feelings. We're not supposed to, express that, we're upset. We're not supposed to express that, we don't like what's being, what's happening to us. But, those same white women and other women of different colors, when they come out, saying, what they're saying, oh, they get praised and they get promoted. Oh, she's jazzy. Oh, she's sassy. She's this. But, Black women is the only class of women that have unrealistic expectations placed upon them that we're supposed to live by and we're supposed to abide by a bunch of men who cannot even live and abide by the same rules that they have placed upon Black women. So this war upon Black women is a detriment to us, it's a detriment to the community, it's a detriment to everyone, because when we suffer, everybody suffer, because we are the staple and we are the backbone of the Black community. And whether they want to believe it or not, it is true. So, we are the glue that holds everything together. And we are the ones that, push forward, policy and things. Not saying that it's not some Black men that don't support, because we do have a lot of brothers that do support, but I'm talking about the ones that do not support and do not understand how they are the problem and how they engage and participate in being the problem when they side with a white supremacist and when they side with somebody who is against the Black community and against the Black woman.
Yeah, definitely that's the case. And a lot of times there are not enough support of the sisters out there. And a lot of times sisters are painted into a corner and painted as that B word and all along those lines. But like I said, I have been having the pleasure, even here in Durham, of having a number of activist friends that are in that leadership space and are definitely strong women. But I do know that sometimes people, even in our own communities, sometimes want to see them as being negative terminology, whether that's the B word or whether that's gadflies or a number of other things. And then they will praise the brother that has similar attributes and all along those lines. But definitely there are some strong sisters out there. I know that even my friend Brenda Howarden, who's on our local school board or has been on the school board in the past. I think she's a county commissioner now and everything, or maybe she's always been a county commissioner, but she is definitely a strong leader and definitely in that space and everything. But I have heard people that have attacked her just like they've attacked some of the entrepreneurial leaders that are out there because they are feeling that they are only being one-sided in who they support, even if they do programs that are women-based. I can even mention my friend Jess Everhart, who has a program called Reimagine, and is actually about reimagining yourself as a woman in the middle age category. Because I want to say that she's a few years younger than me, so she might be in her like late 40s or early 50s, but she has got this whole program around reinventing yourself and reimagining yourself. And a lot of it is about sisters doing that. And, sometimes people will be like, well, how come you can't do it for all people or do it in these kind of ways that are more inclusive and all in that space? And I'm not saying that
but the thing, Mark, it's just sad because if we want to really look at it, the Daughters of the Revolution, the white people who were these are white women that were against a whole lot of things. What are they called? The Daughters of the Revolution, and things like that. That's a bunch of white women that support white supremacy and the premise of white supremacy. So if you really want to get technical with it, they are being the same as if the venture capitalists are. There are no women of color in the Daughters of Revolution. There are no women of color in a lot of these places and a lot of these spaces. But because it's Black women, you have a problem with it because you don't want people to support Black women. Black women lead in everything. We lead in education. We lead in the starting of business. We lead in entrepreneurship. We lead in everything. But the problem is you don't want us to support each other. Just like, for example, when the Black Girl Follow Train came about on TikTok, and the white women got pissed off because they wasn't included. This is not for you. This was something for us, by Black women, to support Black women. But you felt like it should be about all women. No, when you go into the poll, you don't vote in terms of all women. You vote in terms of white women. So when we're doing things for us to create safe spaces for us, this is safe space for us. For example, I was having a conversation at work, and this white another because I was talking about how Black people view law enforcement, and the term when it came about, fuck the police, came about. That was our discussion. First of all, don't get offended if you're in a Black space and we're having Black conversations. Don't run talking about you're offended, because my thing is this is our space. You shouldn't be in our space anyway. These are the types of conversations we have in our space. So I'm not going to pussyfoot around, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything because you think that your feelings are getting hurt. No, you shouldn't be in my space anyway, and you shouldn't be engaged in my conversation anyway, because you were not even included in the conversation. This was two minority people having a conversation about things that affect the Black community. So, my thing is, they always want to say that they're not included. You don't have to be included. Black women have been excluded for everything. If we really want to look how, detrimental white women have been towards the Black race and Black community and Black men, all we have to do is look at it historically. Look at Emmett Smith, look at Rosewood. And I gave all those examples how a white woman lied and a whole Black community was burned down based off of a white woman lie. So, when we go into our spaces, when we go into our safe spaces, those are our safe spaces, because you are not allowed in our safe space. But because you feel some type of way because we're not talking to you and we're not engaging with you, then you have a problem with it. But understand, we don't have to talk to you. We don't have to engage with you.
Yeah.
We want to be in a place where we can go and we can have a safe space where we can feel free to discuss what we want to free, and we don't have to dance and tiptoe around because you're in that space. And that's what it's about, because they feel like they're being excluded. But you have always excluded Black women. Black women have, in recent years, we are now being looked at as the model and the standard of beauty, which we have always been the model and standard of beauty. Because let's take Kim Kardashian, for example. They have been stealing Black women designs and Black women ideas for since the beginning. And the time came out with her skincare line. Kim Kardashian named her skincare line similar to hers so that they can have some of the same, branding points and things like that or whatever. So, white women, y'all can say what you want to say, but you have always excluded Black women. You exclude us every time you go to the poll, and you align yourself with that white supremacy and that white vote because you benefit from it. Mark?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. What is your thoughts around it when sometimes our own sisters fall into the white narrative and the white supremacy narrative? We had a officer here. She was actually our police chief here in Durham that went to Memphis and everything. And then she caught a lot of flack. We know about the Tyree Nichols case and everything. And those were Black officers that literally beat down that young man and everything. And apparently she was the founder of this crime suppression unit called the Scorpion Unit, and all along those lines. So I was just wondering your thoughts when sometimes we buy into the narrative and even kind of like borrow their tactics and bring those tactics in our own community versus fighting those tactics and being one for the people, because sometimes we can be our own worst enemies as well. And like I said, the folks in Memphis have voted that they will get rid of her and get another police officer after we had shipped her from Durham to Memphis. And I was talking to a gentleman from Memphis, and he was basically saying that good riddance to her and all along those lines, because they felt that she had brought some negative tactics that she might have learned from the police force and everything along those lines. So I just wanted your thoughts when we kind of take the tools that we learned at the slave master's hands and bring them in a negative way and kind of like take them to the extreme the other way.
Well, I mean, no tools are perfect. You know what I'm saying? You have to take tools and implement them accordingly. And I'm not saying what she did was right, and I'm not saying that what she did was wrong, because I'm not a police officer and I don't work in that field. Mm-hmm. But, at the same time, Memphis also has a high crime rate or whatever. So, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can't bitch and complain about not having police enforcement, and then when you get police enforcement, then you still bitching and complaining about having police enforcement. But it's about how you implement those tools, and everything is about the delivery and approach. Right. Maybe it was meant in good faith, but it was carried out in bad faith. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I'm not in the police force, so I can't really judge. All I can do is just speak from when we look at the crime bill. Everybody was talking about Biden and Jesse Jackson and some other key leaders who supported the crime bill. They all supported the crime bill. If we want to really get down to it, Republicans and whites and blacks and Democrats, they all supported the crime bill. Why did they support the crime bill? Because back in Chicago and even in DC, the crime was so off the chain that they had to put something in place. You couldn't even walk outside. You couldn't even go outside with getting shot or being shot at or being, terrorized and things like that or whatever. Then when the crime came down, oh, you're targeting black men, you're targeting this. And don't get me wrong, some black people did get caught up in the midst of the crime bill, but also there were some that needed to have their asses locked away for life and throw that key away. You know what I'm saying? The bill was not perfect. Did it serve its purpose? Yes. Did it hurt some people? Yes. But something was put in place because there was a need at the time. And for her, there was a need at the time. Now, the implementation of the officers, because that's just like, in education, they give us all these different strategies. They give us new curriculum. They give us all this different stuff. Now, each person is going to implement that particular strategy, that curriculum based off of their belief system and based off of what they think is right. So, could she have probably done a better job of monitoring? Yes. Could she have straightened it out? Yes. Could she have put them through more training? Yes. But, at the time, there was a need for what was going on. Now, am I supporting their egregious behavior? No, I'm not supporting their egregious behavior, because at the end of the day, you have a right, you have a strong moral decision to make, being right and wrong. Did you have to chase that young man down and kill him? No, you did not, because at that point you became a vigilante, and a vigilanteism is not something that we protect, and we suggest, and that we want inside of the criminal justice system. So that was, to me, that was, like isolated incidents where those officers ganged up on that young man, because it goes deeper than, him just, doing a regular traffic stop. It went, as I come to find out, that it has something to do with a woman, because my thing is, if the woman don't want you, let it ride. You don't have to, kill somebody or, terrorize somebody because the other person don't want you. Let it ride, get you another one. So at the end of the day, they made a personal choice, but it came back on her because she was the leader.
But coming back to your earlier point of this whole show and this particular episode and everything, is it easier to scapegoat an African-American woman that is in leadership? Because like I said, she was a woman that was in that
definitely.
Here.
It is.
When I was here, and then I'm still here, and then she went off to Memphis, and I'm even seeing that with Kamala, and Kamala was just here recently touting some mental health things that they want to do to help bring mental health awareness to the school system, and they're given a number of dollars both here in North Carolina and throughout the nation to address the mental health issues with our school kids and everything. But I'm sure that there will be people that will target Kamala because they're saying that she isn't doing enough as a vice president and all along those lines. So I'm just wondering, is it part of the issue that it is easier to target those African-American women that are in leadership positions, particularly when they are in the public eye?
It's always easier to target, African-American and black women, in leadership positions, for the simple reason is because, they don't feel like we need to be there anyway. They felt like, we were just, given a position, but based off of our race, instead of basing off of our intellect and our ability and our, know-how and the right for us to be able to do what we need to do. Because we can take it a step further. We can look at, Harvard's president who just resigned. They said that she resigned for plagiarism or whatever. But the billionaire that went after her, his wife said that she plagiarized. Yeah. But the thing about it is, to be in all honesty, she didn't plagiarize, because she used her professors, she used her professors' words in her dissertation, and she had full right to have used the professor's words, because you can't use somebody's work without obtaining permission. Just like when I was a student and I was doing my dissertation and I wanted to use Albert Bandura's teacher self-efficacy scale, I emailed him at Stanford, asked him personally, could I use his teacher self-efficacy scale in my study? He responded yes, and I published that also in my dissertation. So we don't put anything out there unless we have receive permission and gain that permission from the person that we are quoting and things like that. So they just made it seem like her whole dissertation was fabricated, because they didn't like what she said about Jewish Americans and things like that. Like I said, it's not about your religion on last show. It's not about anything. We're anti-bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So don't tell Black women what we can think and what we can say and how we can respond and things like that. If you don't like the way we respond, then so be it. You don't like the way that we respond and things like that or whatever. But like I said, at the end of the day, it is what it is, because all of these white kids that get into these different schools and their parents are buying the test, and they have people that's in these offices that are giving them the test, and they're not earning anything. They haven't proven their intellect. We saw it with the whole scandal with the ACT, when the stars were paying for their children to get in the SC. What is it? SC? Southern California, USC, yes. University of Southern California, and things like that or whatever. So, y'all been doing it for a long time, but you're just mad that Black women and Black people can hold their own and we don't have to cheat.
Yeah. Well, I want to come back to what you said.
Go to the realms and to the brink of things that you have to do in order to, stand our ground, because we can definitely stand our ground.
Now, I want to come back to what you said about capital funds and the thing that Keisha Knight Pulliam created and all along those lines. Because one of the things that I know, because like I said, my mom was in that trust fund business. She actually ran one of the largest ones here in North Carolina with some of the cigarette money and all in that space. So definitely the cigarette settlement money, the Golden Leaf Foundation. That being said, is I know that most of these trust funds have requirements, and they might be requirements that will give you money based on your gender, your where you live, whether it's rural or urban, or a number of other kind of criteria. So every capital fund has a criteria of one sort or another. So for them to go after an organization that has as its specific target of their capital fund the support and the development of a entrepreneurial businesses in the minority and particularly African American women community, I think personally is ludicrous, because most of the capital funds are built that way in the sense that they have criteria.
Well, I mean, it's not ludicrous. It's just ludicrous because they're supporting Black women. But when it boils down to the Asians and white women and things like that or whatever, they don't have a problem with it when it's exclusionary of like Black people. Like I was reading something the other day on social media about this statue that's in Native American land or whatever, and they're saying that people don't support coming tourism, don't support it. I was like, well, maybe if y'all wouldn't have been so if y'all wouldn't have excluded Black Americans, Black Native Americans, people would actually support yourself. But I can't support you because you excluded Black Native Americans. Both of my grandmothers were Native American, so I can't support you because you didn't support us. So I'm not gonna go against the grain to support something that excluded us from the jump or whatever. And see, that's one of the things that they want. They want us to support everything that they have going on. They want us to support every venture, everything, even if it goes against the Black race and the Black community. And me being a sister, I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can kick rocks, y'all can do whatever. I'm not doing it. I'm not supporting your race, your religion, or anything else that you got going on if it goes against something in the Black community. I'm just not doing it. And that's just the bottom line. And that's what they have a problem with. They want to, like I said, they want us to support everything that they have going on. But when it comes down to supporting each other and supporting, our Black men, our young children, our girls, our boys, then they take a problem with it. So that's why I tell people all the time, y'all need to educate yourselves. You need to read. You need to understand, because these people are playing. They're not playing games with you. They're redlining, they're gerrymandering, and a lot of people don't even know what that means. They're changing the districts so that Republicans can always win and will always rule. You know what I'm saying? So you think that your vote doesn't matter. Your vote matters, but they're changing the game on how you vote and how the people are going to win. But you got to understand, and you got to just get low down and get right back dirty with them. But we have like about 18 minutes, so I want to jump over to Shannon Sharpe real.
Yeah, we can jump over to Shannon Sharpe. I was just going to say
before we go into head on out. Our last segment, we talked about Cat Williams and some of the things that he said and putting people on blast and things like that. So I don't know if you've seen the video of Shannon Sharpe saying that he didn't know Cat Williams was going to say this and he didn't know Cat Williams was going to say that, and people should have, he should have censored Cat Williams and he should have done that. Let me tell y'all something. First of all, you can't censor no one. You know what I'm saying? Shannon Sharpe knew what type of person Cat Williams was. I'm not saying that Cat Williams is a bad person, but he knew Cat Williams was going to come on his show and state his piece. That's why I tell everybody before they interview me or anything like that, please understand what type of person I am. I am not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to say what I have to say, and I'm going to move forward with it, and it's going to be done. And that's just just the way it is, because I've talked to you about me leaving somebody else's show, based off of me getting into it with some of the other guests and getting into it with him, because like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything when it comes to my opinion and what I think. If you don't want to know my opinion, don't invite me on your show. If you don't want to know what I think, don't ask me for my opinion. Don't ask me no questions. And the same thing with Cat Williams. If you did not want him to respond, don't ask him no questions. Do not bring him on your show, because my thing is, why would you invite somebody to be on your show and then you try to censor them? You know what I'm saying? That's just the most insane thing. If you want somebody on your show and you want to interview them, quite naturally, you want to hear what they have to say. And what I got pissed with Shannon Sharpe was that was a straight bitch move. You pulled a straight bitch move. You acted like a hoe in that instance. Oh, I didn't know what he was gonna say. I didn't know he was gonna do this. I didn't know he was gonna do that. Shannon, be a man and own up to what the hell you did in an interview that you had with Cat Williams. Cat Williams put people out there, and like Cat Williams said, if you wanted me to speak highly of you, then you should have treated me better. You know what I'm saying? But y'all didn't have a problem with nobody else saying what they said about calling Cat Williams a drug addict, calling him this, calling him crazy. Y'all didn't censor them. Y'all let everybody else say what the hell that they wanted to say. But then when this man retaliate and put everybody on blast, and y'all mad because he said that y'all getting y'all prostate tapped and y'all doing what y'all doing. Now you got a problem with it. Now you don't want him to express his feelings. No, get the hell up out of here. Because that video that Shannon Sharpe put out there, like I said, that was a straight bitch move. He was a straight hoe for saying what he said. You should have owned up to the fact that you interviewed with Cat Williams and you could not control him. He basically ran the interview. You were just sitting there in the midst of the interview. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is too, when you bring me on your place, on your podcast, know that I am going to be real. Know that I'm going to say what I got to say, and know that you're not going to censor me and shut me down. That's just the bottom line. Mark.
No, well, first off, I said that it would be interesting. I mean, Shannon Sharpe seems to think that he is a decent or reasonable journalist and all along those lines, even though I don't know what his college major was and whether it was media or not, and that doesn't really matter. But I've seen some of his other interviews, and he is oftentimes the interviews, and the reason that they admire the interviews is because they are exactly what the Cat Williams interview is. They are very raw, and you don't know what the person is going to say. So for him to say that he was going to censor it, I found it kind of ludicrous in a lot of ways and kind of crazy in a lot of ways, because unless you're going to do a delay, and even delays don't really catch that much and everything, so unless you're going to do a delay, you're not really going to stop a person from saying what they're going to say. And one of the things, like I said before, that people have praised him in that particular podcast is that it is very candid conversations, and that the athletes and the celebrities that he reaches out to aren't afraid to speak their truth, if I can use that kind of cliche as a line and everything. So I agree that for him to kind of backtrack that or backwalk it does not make any sense. I mean, he also got one of the highest rated, I think it's in second place, it might even be moving toward first place interviews with that interview. So it's actually even, I mean, he's already famous, Shannon Sharpe, was because his football playing and everything, but it is definitely catapulted him in the live streaming and in the media world. The only one that was greater was one that Joe Rogan did, and I think that was Joe Rogan interviewing Elon Musk and all in that space. So definitely, and it might even, if it hasn't already, it may eventually surpass that. So for him to get this kind of notoriety and not be willing to accept the notoriety and then kind of like want to backtrack it and say that he should have done a better job of controlling it. I mean, those interviews are very raw and everything. I mean, it's kind of like what goes on in, I said earlier, I was watching the basketball game. In those halftime remarks, usually they know that they are mic'd, and they usually keep themselves diplomatic in what they are saying to those athletes and everything. But there have been moments in those games, as well as in the NFL, we're in the middle of the NFL playoffs and everything, where people are very emotional about what's going on, and they definitely let their emotions share, and they definitely say some very powerful and even some rude words, even to their own players or to the opposing players as well. I'm sure there was some serious coaching going on in that Detroit-Dallas game with the referees and all in that space. So to think that you're going to censor these folks is not a fair thing to even try to want to do. And like I said, everybody that I know was very glad to hear Cat's authentic thoughts and all in that space, and just like they were glad to hear the thoughts of those that he criticized. And I've heard some people that,
but I mean, at the end of the day, Mark, my thing is, if you don't want to know what a person has to say, don't ask them no questions. Because my thing, I've had people ask me questions about my opinion and what I think, and then they get mad with me when I give my opinion and what I think. If you don't want me to tell you the God's honest truth, then don't ask me no questions, and don't ask me for my opinion. Let me be, because I'm over here minding my own damn black woman ass business, but you came over here stopping me from minding my own damn black woman ass businesses, and asking me questions and asking me my opinion. And then when I give you my opinion, then you want to get mad, then you want to stop talking to me. But my thing is, if that's the case, don't ask me for my opinion. Don't ask me what I think and things like that, because it's not like I'm just out here just giving you, just some raw information, and I'm just coming off the break, saying, oh, you need to do XYZ. I think this. No, you're coming over here in my space and you're asking me, what my opinion is and what I think, and if you don't want me to give you my opinion, then don't come over here in my space. Same thing with Cat Williams. If you didn't want to know, if you didn't want to know his thoughts, you shouldn't have had him on your show. But, your show escalated because you were only at 200,000 viewers, and then you went from 200 to 2 million in less than 4 days, and even more than that after the fact or whatever. And then you want to backtrack talking about you didn't know what he was gonna say, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. No, that was a straight bitch move. That was a straight hoe move. You know what I'm saying? Stand on your words, stand on your business, and be the man that you say that you are. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to backtrack your information. You don't have to backtrack what you have brought somebody on your show. Stand up and have that courage. But because people are giving you some pushback or whatever. Oh, you didn't know he was gonna do this. Cat is a real person. Cat stands on his business. Cat stands on his word. But with all of that being said, Mark, now the only thing that they did was come out and give pushback. Ludacris came out with a rap song, you know what I'm saying? And like Charleston White said, dude, you came out with a rap song. You should have been saying, nah, dude, nah, nigga, you lied. You did this, you did that. But you came out with a rap song. None of you people came out with anything other than, what you gonna say, a little fluff here, a little fluff there. Oh, you're angry, you're this. But when you start telling the truth and you start, you stand on your business and you speak what you speak freely, then people want to term you as crazy. They want to term you as you're the problem. They want to look at you in a different light. Oh, he's a drug addict. He's this, he's that. But none of y'all had a problem with everybody else talking about him. But the second that he put everybody else on blast, y'all have a problem with it. But only the people who have a problem with it are the ones that's engaged in what is engaged in what he's saying, actually took place. So my thing is, if this man is speaking his truth, how are you going to tell this man about speaking his truth? You cannot narrate me speaking my truth because you wasn't there to live my truth. I'm a living witness of my truth. I'm a living witness of my experience and things like that. So you can't tell me about my truth. So y'all can't tell him about his truth because he's speaking things that he put forth, he experienced. And so we wasn't there to say that, he didn't experience these things. We wasn't there to say that, this didn't take place and this didn't happen. But the other people were there. Well, but none of them came out and said that he was lying. But all I've been seeing on social media is everything that Cat Williams said is being substantiated on social media.
Well, I'm going to say I had the pleasure of interviewing a comedian from here in North Carolina, literally the day after, maybe it was 2 days after that interview and the show that we did on Monday. But comedian Gravedigger is a comedian that actually knows and has performed with Cat Williams. And he said that everything that Cat Williams said was legitimate and that he knows Cat Williams personally and all along those lines. And he also mentioned some of the things that he's done that is bold, and it's very bold of him to do it. But he's also a bottom dollar kind of guy like Cat Williams, because he actually said in the interview that I did with him, meaning comedian Gravedigger and his lovely wife and everything, that he's literally performed in front of the Klan. And he put in the contract, don't bring no ropes, don't bring no thing, and I will basically call y'all out and everything. So there are some comedians that are bold enough to perform in front of audiences that they know will be hostile audiences. It'd be kind of like us doing the podcast in front of a MAGA crowd and everything, but I'm not afraid of them. So I might even just try to arrange that and have us do a live show in front of a MAGA crowd, because I think both you and I could take on that crowd. And all along those lines, just the way that Gravedigger managed to do a show, I think he said he did it 2 or 3 times in front of the Grand Wizards and some of the Klan members, because it's better to perform in front of the enemy that you know versus the enemy that you don't know, and some of the enemies that you don't know.
Let me tell you something, Mark. We already performing in front of them folks. We engage with them every day. The only thing that they have done is got rid of the sheets and the covers and all that stuff. And they're the lawyers, the doctors, and things like that. That's why we're having so many problems in the law enforcement. That's why we're still, being the first at certain things. That's why we're still not getting and accepted into these colleges. That's why we're still not, being successful in these programs, because they're purposely failing us and they purposely want to, harm us and things like that. So we're faced with it every day. So it's not that we have to go to a place and go to a building to, engage with these folks. No, we're dealing with it every day because, they lie in your face and they hee and ha ha behind your back and then throwing daggers and, things like that or whatever. So no, we're dealing with it on a daily basis. Like I said, Jane Elliott was the one that said all white people are racist, not Dr. Anthony. So if I'm lying, I'm lying behind her, and the thing about it is, when she did an experiment and asked the white people, would you switch places with a black person? And they said no. So she was like, you're aware. So you know what's happening. So you can't use the fact that I don't know, because we already know that they know. They're aware. They like to play that they don't know and that they're not aware and, things like that or whatever. So no, we're engaged with them on a day-to-day basis. I'm not trying to convince the enemy of nothing. You are who you are. Those are learned behaviors. You learn them from you learn them from your mammy. You learn them from your white mammy. That's who you learn them from, because everything that she believed in, she instilled in you as a child, and that's what you are instilling in your child, and that's what they're going to instill in their child. You know what I'm saying? So that's not something that we can fight, because those are learned behaviors that have been around since the beginning of time. Because one of the things is, why do you think critical race theory is such an issue? Because they're going to see their parents, their grandparents, and their great grandparents in those books. They don't want their children to know that their grandparents, their parents, and all that were that type of person. They're trying to shield them from that. But if black children are strong enough to experience it and go through it, your child is strong enough to experience it and read about it and know that their grandparents were racist.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that and everything. I'm wondering, coming back to our original conversation about grants and everything, I just saw a couple of grants that were out there, and they were in different states that have this goal of identifying and giving money to a certain minority community. So I'm wondering if that crazy gentleman is going to go after the SoCal Ventures Black Founders Startup Grant, which has money of $5,000 to $10,000 for founders who have self-identified as a Black woman or Black non-binary, who have a legally registered business or plan to seek investor funding in order to scale and have a scalable, high-impact solution or idea with the ambition to be the next billion-dollar business and all in that space. And it's not SoCal, it's actually SoGal, like gallons and everything. Or if they're going to go after one in New York that is called the Citizens Committee for New York City's Neighborhood Business Grants, and they've got money up to $10,000 for small businesses in New York, and they are looking to say that their grants will prioritize businesses owned by people of color, immigrants, and women, those that have the greatest need and minimal access to resources, and those that are involved in their local communities. Or if they're even going to go after the Hello Alice 2022 Small Business Growth Fund, and that's apparently is for U.S. small business owners who generated less than $1 million in 2021 annual review, and I'm sure it'll be something similar for 2022, and demonstrate a commitment to their customers and community, and have a clear plan to use the grant funds. But as I'm looking up some of these things, some of them are.
Well, I mean, he's probably going to go after anything that has anything to do with Black women, because like I said, the target is Black women, and the target has always been Black women, because we lead in everything.
Yeah, he's probably
I'm not.
So he's probably going to go after the NAACP then, because they've got the NAACP and the Next Door Kind Foundation, which has got a business fund of $5,000 and a total fund of $100,000. And the U.S. small businesses that are at least 51% owned by a person of color generated less than $1 million in 2021 gross annual revenue, and those between 1 and 25 employees.
Well, this is setting a precedence. This is setting a precedent. Yeah, this is setting a precedent. So, this case is, won in the Supreme Court, then it's going to, set the precedence for every other case in the U.S. when it comes to, like dealing with Blacks and minorities and, things like that or whatever. So, 20 years ago, we didn't think that, Roe versus Wade would be overturned. But you see, Trump got it overturned, because they have those backdoor meetings. And what people fail to realize is they have those backdoor meetings, and they meet and they discuss things that they want to destroy. And that was one of the things that they wanted to destroy, along with affirmative action. But affirmative action wasn't really it wasn't really about Black women. It was about white women, because they were the ones that received the most of the benefits from affirmative action. And now that they're being affected by it, now it's a problem. But we've always turned water into wine, and turn Ford wood nickels into a dollar, and however whatever that saying is, and turn blood from a turnip and all that stuff, because we know how to survive and we know how to make it or whatever. But we've always been the stronger of the races, and we're always going to be the stronger of the races because of the intellect and the know-how, because you have these inadequate, ill-prepared white women that really didn't do anything, and now they're being affected. So now it's a problem. And Black women are just supposed to come up and just jump up on their beck and call. Now We're gonna sit this one out, Becky and Susie. We're gonna let y'all make it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely they're setting a precedence and they're setting a tone for, like what's to come. Even, in the election, it's setting a precedent in the tone, because they notice what this man has, done criminalistic, actions with the insurrectionists and the insurrection that took place on January 6th. They know this man has done that. But let it would have been President Barack Obama, we wouldn't even be going through this bullshit that we're going through. You already know what time it is.
No, we definitely know time. It's almost time for the show to end and everything. But one thing that I was going to say is that even a couple of years ago, when the pandemic was about ready to be in the midst of ending and everything, they said that a lot of Black business owners collapsed during that time, because apparently the number of Black business owners in 2022 dropped by 41%, the number of Latinx owners fell by 32%, and the number of Asian owners dropped by 26% compared to like the European Americans. I think they only dropped by like 17%. So we were definitely impacted heavily during the pandemic, and I think that we're still recovering from that in our own version of a recession and all along those lines, because a number of our businesses were struggling during that time. So hopefully they can bounce back in 2024.
Definitely. But the clock on the wall says that's all, y'all. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you click like and share. Let's get those views up. Let's make us number one on the network. We're almost there. We're in the top 5. So let's, try to get to that number 1 status. Make sure you tune in next Monday to, some more great topics. We have some additional things that we're going to discuss. We're going to, just as a precursor to what's coming on Monday, we're going to talk about Navy Federal and how they have excluded Blacks from becoming homeowners and receiving home loans. So that's one of the topics that we're going to discuss on next Monday. And if you would like for us to discuss a topic, you just email me at allaroundaround@gmail.com, or you can place comments in the bottom and let us know if you would like to be a guest. You would like to come on and you would like to, commentate, just let me know or let Mark know, reach out, and we can make that happen. So with that being said, deuces, my loves. See you next Monday.
What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.